Today we're going to look at how to make sugarcane wine. We can't just use fresh sugarcane juice to make wine right away. If we do that, it will spoil. Just like coconut water, it will go bad quickly. We're going to boil it first. Let's see how it's done. We'll use 1 liter of water, pour it into the pot and turn on the stove. Now the water is boiling. Aunt Moo will use half a kilogram of white sugar, about 600 grams or half a kilo. We pour it in right away. Half a kilo or half a bag, we're only using half a kilo, friends. Pour the sugar in and stir it, friends. Watch closely, Aunt Moo is using white sugar. Just 500 grams or half a kilo. We're only using half a kilo, friends, because the sugarcane juice is already somewhat sweet. Now the sugar has dissolved, so we're gonna pour in the sugarcane juice. 2 liters of sugarcane juice. Friends, just pour it all in. Here, the juice is fresh sugarcane juice. Aunt Moo bought it from the shop. After we've poured in the sugarcane juice, we're going to boil it for about 3 to 5 minutes. Friends, no longer than that, because we don't want the wine to spoil. We do need to boil it, but using fresh ingredients is good. However, if you use it completely fresh, sometimes it can spoil easily, just like juice. For coconut water, we also have to boil it first. Aunt Moo will boil it for just about 3 to 5 minutes, just until it comes to a boil again, and that's enough. Friends, make sure to taste the sweetness too, because sometimes sugarcane juice can be sour, not sweet. But the one Aunt Moo got here, it's really sweet. If we use pure sugarcane juice, it tends to spoil easily, right? So Aunt Moo uses boiled water to boil the sugar as well. Use 1 liter. Once it comes to a rolling boil, turn off the stove right away. Friends, make sure to taste it too. If it tastes sweet, then it's good, because Aunt Moo only uses 500 grams of sugar. But if it's still sour, you can add more sugar, then taste it again, because everyone's preference for sweetness is different. Just follow Aunt Moo's method and start with half a kilo of sugar first. If you want to add more, scoop in 1 or 2 tablespoons at a time. Don't just pour it all in at once, because sometimes it's hard to estimate. We need to let the sugarcane juice cool to room temperature first before moving on to the fermentation step. Please stay tuned for the next step. Now, we're going to separate some of the liquid to test the yeast. Today, we are making a small batch, just 3 liters in total, so we'll only use about half a teaspoon. This is a teaspoon here, and I'm only using half of it. Pour it into the portion of liquid we set aside, just like this. We're not going to use a full teaspoon because we only have 3 liters of water. Stir the mixture well to combine. Now, I'm going to let the yeast activate first. While we wait, we'll pour the liquid into the fermentation container. As you can see, the yeast is already starting to foam up. If the liquid looks cloudy like this, it means the yeast is starting to activate and bubble up. See how it's swelling. If the yeast is expired, the liquid will stay clear and the yeast granules will just settle at the bottom of the cup. That's how you know the yeast is no longer good. But if it rises up like this, can you see, friends? The granules are floating, starting to bubble up and swell. These are air bubbles at this point. You can pour it straight into the fermentation tank. Today we're only using 3 liters of water in total, and Aunt Moo is using just half a teaspoon of yeast. Don't get confused, friends. Now we pour the yeast in. We won't add much more yeast than the recipe calls for, because when you ferment the wine, it will make the yeast smell really strong. It's hard to fix that, I'm telling you, friends. If the yeast smell is too strong, it's hard to fix. We close the lid like this, shake the container, and after shaking, loosen the screw cap halfway so it can move a bit. When we shake the container, see, friends, it helps the yeast distribute more quickly and evenly throughout the container. If we pour it in, notice this, friends, if we pour the yeast in without shaking the container, it will just clump up on the surface of the water at the bottom. It won't go down. I always recommend shaking every time. When we shake it, the yeast spreads quickly throughout the container, so it works faster. If we don't shake it, the yeast will float on the surface of the water for about 2 days before it all sinks down. Don't forget to write a sticker label and stick it on. Here, for example, I made fresh sugarcane wine on the 2nd day of the 10th month, year 66. We will ferment it at a temperature of room temperature for about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, let's see how much we like the taste of our sugarcane wine. Stay tuned, everyone. Today, we're going to give an update on the fresh sugarcane wine. I started fermenting it since the 2nd day of the 10th month. And today is the 21st of the 10th month. The fresh sugarcane wine has been fermenting for 20 days now. Friends, look at how clear the wine is. Today, we're going to stop the yeast. I need to show you all how to stop the yeast. because this fresh sugarcane wine uses freshly pressed sugarcane juice. We boil it, but we still need to prevent bacteria that might develop during fermentation. So we have to stop the yeast at a temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, which is just right. This way, it also gets pasteurized by the heat. But at 40 degrees, the heat isn't enough to make all the alcohol evaporate. Fermented just warms it up. It just makes it warm at 40 degrees. It's only slightly warm because room temperature is already around 37 or 38 degrees. So we're only stopping the yeast at 40 degrees. Now that's enough. Let's pour it into the basin. Pour gently so the sediment doesn't go in. See, friends, at the bottom of the container, there's sediment, which is the yeast residue. See, we don't need to feel bad about it, friends. Don't pour it all in. Just take the clear liquid like this. Look, friends, if it's cloudy and has sediment like this, don't worry about it. Just pour it out because it will ruin the taste of our wine. Fermenting for 20 days, friends, gives you a really high alcohol content. If you like a slightly bitter taste, you can stop the yeast right away without adding any sugar. But if you want to add a bit of sweetness and adjust the taste of the wine, if it's too bitter, if it's also astringent, Aunt Moo recommends adding white sugar. Today, I'm making a small batch. If anyone wants to make a larger amount, just multiply the recipe. Today, we're only using 30 grams of white sugar, friends. Add it at this step, we're using just 30 grams. We don't want our wine to be overly sweet. Delicious wine shouldn't be dominated by sweetness, friends. Since we'll be chilling it in the fridge and drinking it cold, we just want a hint of sweetness on the palate. So add it in at this step, turn on the stove. Keep stirring, otherwise the sugar will stick to the bottom of the pot. Cane wine has a very distinct and prominent cane aroma, friends. We use white sugar at the step where we stop the yeast to prevent the wine from getting any darker in color. The cane aroma is really fragrant, friends. The scent rises right up to your nose. You need to have a thermometer. When you measure the temperature, you have to keep stirring so that the heat vapor rises up, allowing the thermometer to accurately detect it. Right now, Aunt Moo has measured it at 40 degrees. Can you see that, friends? We can turn off the stove now. We'll let the sugarcane wine cool down to room temperature before moving on to the fermentation step. At this point, Aunt Moo is letting the sugarcane wine rest. It's now at room temperature. We'll pour it into the fermentation bottle right away. Since today we're not making a large quantity, Aunt Moo will pour it directly into the bottle for fermentation. Alright, here Aunt Moo is pouring it into the bottle. Since today we're only making a small amount, about 3 liters. Now, we will carefully add potassium metabisulfite, which is also known as a stabilizing agent. We will add this important ingredient to help our wine clear up much faster and to prevent it from becoming any darker in color. We will use exactly 1 spoonful per bottle. Just add it in like this. 1 spoonful per each individual bottle. Go ahead and carefully add it in now. You can put it directly into the bottle because this dissolves quite easily. At this stage, you can seal the bottle tightly. We'll also put a sticker on it. We're going to let it age at room temperature for about 7 days. I'll update you on what happens after the aging process. After 7 days, our wine will become clearer, and I'll update you on just how delicious it tastes. Today, I'll be giving you an update on the sugarcane wine. After we've aged it for 7 days, take a look after 7 days. The clarity has increased to a certain level. You can see sediment at the bottom of the bottle, right? It gradually settles down. If we leave it at a certain temperature, in a room like this, if you keep aging it, the color of the wine will become much clearer. Once we see the wine is clear, look, friends, look at the bottom of the bottle. Do you see it? It starts to have sediment like this, see? Once we see it like this, we pour it into another bottle, and that will make the wine clear much faster. Today, we're going to show you how to bottle wine by adding potassium sorbate, which is a yeast inhibitor, to the wine. We let it settle like this, but if we plan to store the wine for a long time, we should add potassium sorbate to prevent natural or synthetic yeast from becoming active again. You might wonder if adding it will ruin the taste of the winino. It actually improves the quality of our wine. We don't add a lot, friends. For this bottle, which is 750 milliliters, we'll add 2 spoons of the sorbate. It comes in little stick-like pellets. See, they look like pieces of sugarcane. This particular bottle is quite generously sized, ranging from 750 milliliters up to a full 1000 ml. My dear friends, please add precisely 2 spoons of sorbate. I have already carefully added 1 spoon. Potassium sorbate, as you can see, dissolves quite easily, my friends. Now we are going to carefully pour this solution into another clean bottle. Please hold the bottle gently and then carefully and slowly pour it into the designated recipient bottle. See? Now we have much clearer, beautifully refined wine like this. Just add 1 small spoon or perhaps 2 spoons, precisely like this. For those discerning individuals who have wisely ordered the special additive from Aunt Moo, rest assured it genuinely lasts a remarkably long time, my dear friends, because we only ever use such a very small, almost negligible amount. Simply lift the bottle gently and then carefully pour its contents into another clean one. Lift it very gently. And that's all there is to it. A simple process. Seal the lid. Yes, seal the lid tightly. Write a sticker label and stick it on. For sugarcane wine, friends, just keep it at normal room temperature. After 7 to 10 days, the wine will become clearer. You can then pour it into a new bottle, just like I showed you. Let me repeat. Pour it until you get clear liquid like this. See? Friends, look at the difference. Even though the color might be different, as we let it ferment, the wine will become clearer. Look at how clear it is. It's crystal clear, just like glass. So we pour it into another bottle. We don't use the number of days to determine the clarity of the wine. We use our eyes to judge as well. With our eyes, friends, if you see that the wine is this clear and there's just a little bit of sediment at the bottom, we immediately transfer it to another bottle. This way we'll get crystal clear wine like this without any sediment at all. Friends, you don't need to use any fining agents. Aunt Moo teaches natural fermentation methods. We don't add too many additives because we don't want any chemical residues in the wine. As for potassium metabisulfite or potassium sorbate, we use them in very small amounts. Once it does its job, after a certain period, it will evaporate on its own. It will completely dissipate, so you don't have to worry about any residue, friends. Aunt Moo is also here to teach you how to bottle wine by adding potassium sorbate, so you can store your wine for a long time. Today we're going to taste and see how much we like the flavor of our sugarcane wine. Friends, look at how clear it is. It's only been aged for 7 to 10 days and look how clear it is already. See? Now Aunt Moo is going to taste it. Wow, friends, it has such a fragrant aroma that fills your nose. There's a natural bitterness and astringency to the wine, which is typical for wine. We added very little sugar, friends. It really depends on each person's preference. If you like it sweeter, you can add more sugar than the recipe calls for. But if you prefer it less sweet or not sweet at all, or even like it a bit bitter and astringent, just follow Aunt Moo's video exactly. Aunt Moo tells you the exact details, what to add, how many days to ferment, how many days to agazo. You'll get wine of this quality. Friends, it has that bitterness and astringency, which are the charm of wine. Because if the wine is dominated by sweetness, it just won't taste as good. But it also depends on each person's preference. Some people like it a bit sweeter, so you can add more sugar when you knock down the yeast. But if you like that bitterness and astringency, just like Aunt Moo said, then just follow the recipe she taught. Alright, for those of you who have watched Aunt Moo's video and enjoyed it, if you found it helpful, please give Aunt Moo a like to show your support and share it as much as you can so other members can learn the proper way to make wine. Aunt Moo would also like to greet all her fans, both those living abroad and those in Thailand. That's all for this video. Until we meet again, goodbye.